Hello, hello, how are you? I am back again and today I want to do a quick real versus fake Chanel handbag video. I have got one fake handbag here and 3 real ones. And the reason I've got 3 real ones is because I want to show you like for like design features of the real versus fake. So that's why I've got 3 here. So I hope it makes sense. But I think by the end of the video, you'll get more of an idea of why one bag is fake and why the rest are real. And yeah, I just hope that you'll learn a lot, because I feel like when I was trying to research real versus fake Chanel handbags, people would always be like, oh my god, this like stitching is so beautiful, but until you see the two side by side, it's very hard to be like, is this good stitching or is it bad stitching? I don't know, you know? So anyway, I thought I would do this video and hopefully you'll find it helpful. And if you do, I'd really be grateful if you gave me a thumbs up. And I never ask that, but I would really appreciate it. Anyway, let's crack on. So here are my Chanel handbags, looking like I'm holding some kind of weird Chanel handbag jumble sale. I always feel so crazy when I've got them just lying on the floor like this, because I look down and I'm like, oh my god, this is thousands of pounds of Chanel bags just scattered around. Anyway, here is a 1990s authentic Chanel bag. It has the gold plating hardware, it's caviar leather, it's got a leather strap, and it is pretty goddamn cute. I bought it from Bottoms. Could actually do with a little bit of a polish. It's not had a polish in a while, but this is my first bag. And then here I have a Chanel wallet on chain. This is about 5 years old. I've worn it a lot. This could probably do with a polish too. It's got the gold hardware, it's got the chain handle slash strap, and it is a real cutie. So that's that one. And then we've got this one here, which is a 2000s Chanel tote bag. I actually use this as Mary's nappy bag, which is ridiculous, I'm not gonna lie, but it worked a treat. And then finally, we have this very cute, but very fake, gold fake Chanel handbag. And it's such a shame that it's fake, because honestly, if this was real, I would absolutely love it. I mean, it is gold leather, and honestly, I wish it was real. It's very, very cute. And I just want to quickly point out that like this bag is vintage. And I think a lot of people think if the bag is vintage, it must be real. And that's not the case. They have been making fakes for literally decades. But yeah, this is fake, unfortunately. Anyway, let's crack on. So first of all, we'll probably compare the chains. So if you look at the chain on the right, there we go, it is very gold colored. Like it's been used a lot, but it hasn't tarnished, the gold hasn't worn off. It's looking great and it feels really smooth. The leather feels good, the leather has stayed in place, the edges of the chain feels very soft and tactile, and it generally feels like very heavy, very good quality, very lovely, just very like soft and tactile to touch. And then here is the fake. I'm hoping that the camera is capturing it, but you can see that the gold has worn off pretty heavily. You can see that the leather has frayed pretty badly. There's the odd bit of thread sticking out. Chanel meticulously fold the leather in so that you don't get any kind of fraying at edges or stitches or anything, whereas you can see on this one you do have the fraying, you do have the stitching, and it's just kind of not sitting that well. And then the edges of the chain, they're just a little bit more jaggedy, they're not soft, they're not smooth. It just doesn't feel like such a nice chain. It doesn't feel as tactile. It just doesn't feel good. The leather doesn't feel soft. It doesn't have the same shine. It doesn't have the same colour. It doesn't have the same weight. It is probably something that you have to feel rather than see, but I hope that you can see a kind of difference in just the quality, the finish of the chains. So that is the first thing. So this is obviously a real Chanel bag, and then this is the fake one. And I'm hoping that you can see the difference in the quilting, because if you have a look here, this is padded, but it's not overly padded. Whereas here, you can see it's a lot more padded, to the point where it's kind of made it look almost a little bit bumpy in places. Like if you look here, that's not the nicest edge where it kind of meets the interlocking C. I don't know, it's almost too padded, and it's kind of got almost a bit of a bumpy quality, and you can see where it's been overstitched. It's just not quite right. Whereas when you look at this one, it's perfect. Like it looks beautiful. It's not overstuffed, but it is stuffed enough. You can see where the C's meet each other. It still looks lovely. And yeah, I don't know if you can tell. And then also you can see just like the odd misstitch here, and on the corners it's just not quite right, and the line here is just not as perfect as it should be if you compare it to here. And then what next? Probably we should go on to the back. So again, the leather is actually nice. It's nice leather, but all these bags, they're all smaller size bags, and they all have back pockets. Now this isn't necessarily an indicator that it's fake, but it is a little bit of a red flag, because you would expect it to have a back pocket like the other ones, and this is obviously where they've cut a corner, and you can see it on the real ones, the diamonds match up perfectly, and that's not easy to do. So that is a pretty easy corner to cut. It will save money, and it will, yeah, it will also save effort. On the base, I mean, it's okay, it's not the nicest finish. You can see that stitching isn't quite right there, but it's not bad. It just kind of, it does have a bit of a crude finish on the bottom and on the stitching here. I don't know if you can see, but it's just not quite perfect. And if we look here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but like it just has a bit of a neater finish the way that this has been done. I think that's more of a French theme, whereas this has been just more tucked under. And then what next? Okay, the tassel. If you look at the interlocking C's, they're not right. They've almost got a score through them. And then here you can see that each strand of the fringing, like that's been badly cut. I don't know if you can see. They don't look quite perfect. Again, I will say this, the leather is quite nice quality, but I don't know, the fringing just doesn't seem quite right. And then when you've got the flaws, like the scores and the cuts where it's not been done properly, you can just tell it's not quite real. It is a nice detail that they've added on this tassel. They didn't need to, and they have done the quilting of the metal, but you can just see that the branding is not correct, and the branding should always be correct. Okay, so on the inside, we have no branding. We have no branding here, and then we have kind of a patent lock here, whereas if I compare it to here, we've got the Chanel Paris here, and then on this one we have nothing, but then on this one we have Chanel. And then what do we have on here? On here we have, again, Chanel. So you would expect this to either have nothing or say Chanel or Chanel Paris, but it says none of those things. You can hear here, we've got that. That feels very tinny, the metal. If you open it up and feel the kind of the metal on the inside, this feels like a very plasticky / tinny metal. Whereas if you look at this, this has kind of a nicer noise. It's less tinny, it's more of a substantial chain, whereas this feels quite poor quality, quite plasticky, quite tinny. And look, you can see that there's a bit of thread sticking out. It's just worn quite badly. It's not the best of qualities. Okay, and then on the inside of the bag, this is where like mistakes really start to happen. So can you see the line of glue? That's not great. I will show you the inside of the other bags just so that you can compare, but there is definitely no line of glue. By the way, I stuff my bags just so that they keep the shape nicely, so apologies for the bubble wrap, but yeah, there is no line of glue on the inside of any of the other bags. That is definitely a sign of a fake. And then you can just see that it's quite crudely done, like the edges, they're quite poorly cut. It's just not very well finished. Let me show you the inside of this bag. I don't know if you can see, but like you can't see that edge where they've just cut the leather. If you look at this tag, first of all, it's wonky. That is not the way I'm holding the camera. Then you can see it's far better stamped in here, whereas this one, it just looks a bit sloppy, and yeah, it's basically done at an angle. And also it shouldn't actually have the interlocking C's above. It should just literally say Chanel, and then it should say made in France rather than made in Paris. But yeah, you can just see that the stamping's not right. The leather is misshapen, it's wonky, and also the way it's stitched like that on the top is not right. If I show you this one, this is stitched in beautifully, again made in Italy, and it's stitched in all the way around. This one is stamped onto the leather, and this one is also stamped onto the leather here. This one really should be stamped onto the leather rather than having a leather tag sticking out of it, and if it was stuck out it should be stitched on. So yeah, you've got the glue marks, you've just got the crude kind of edging. This is not great, sorry for the biro mark, that's all me. But yeah, the label is all wrong and it's wonky and it's just not right. And yeah, it shouldn't say made in Paris, it should say made in France. I've never noticed that before. But yeah, the metal just not that good a quality. It shouldn't have a patent number on here, it should just say Chanel. And then you can see the front, it's just a bit wonky and bumpy. And it's such a shame because I would love a little gold Chanel handbag like this, but it's just not real. Anyway, I feel like I've really waffled on. I hope this video is not too long. But yeah, I hope it helps. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.